Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, bark like a dog for me.
Where's the goodies?
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
According to a newly leaked Pentagon report, in 2004, a U.S. aircraft carrier was stalked for several days by a UFO that witnesses said resembled a supersonic tic-tac. The object reportedly could hover in midair and make itself invisible. This shocked to confuse the Navy pilots who monitored it. Why would we need to read about it because it was leaked? Why wouldn't the U.S. government tell us? So what you're really saying is that the U.S. government and the British government have essentially concluded that there's something not from this world that humans did not create that is being tracked on radar and watched by people who watch aircraft for a living. I mean, this is real.
It is real.
This just seems like a story that we should be covering much more than we do.
And we are covering it. This is Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again with the rather resident alien skeptic himself, David Cohen.
Greetings, Earthlings. Yeah, I'm here. I'm your Mulder to Fox.
There you go. That was Tucker Carlson on Fox.
Yes,
he's done 2 or 3 shows about UFOs since Everything Old is New Again in February 16th to be exact, did our 197th show where we discussed the revelation of the secret program, and they call it the Advanced Aerospace Threat Program. And that was presented by Luis Elizondo on CNN at the time. And by the way, it's a program that was funded for $22 million from 2012 until 2017. We also had on our show, through the powers of radio, the Commander David Fravor, who was the U.S. pilot from UFO carrier Strike Force 11, who saw these tic-tac UFOs. We then have to raise the question, because every so often, Everything Old is New Again dives into the UFO phenomenon. And my question is are our efforts now yielding results? Are people, maybe it be CNN, whether it be Fox News, listening, hearing the good Dr. John Viviani on Everything Old is New Again? Of course, he is our resident ufologist. He is a UFO aficionado extraordinaire. He's exclusive to our program, so Fox and CNN have to result and rely upon these other people to come on the show as opposed to the doctor. But
we have the doctor.
We have the doctor here today.
Who's here?
He's here again to discuss this. But my initial discussion and inquiry is, Doctor, is this having any effect, do you think, upon our media? Everything Old is New Again. Speak into the microphone.
Yes, actually it is. Even though I'm forbidden to go on Fox News and those other stations, you have the exclusive from me now. But no, it's the disclosure. What in our field we call it disclosure. Okay, and the theory is that it's going to leak into mainstream media little by little. And at first, you'll hear. I heard one interview with Don Lemon on CNN where he asked the woman who wrote the article, "Oh, we be invaded by these little green men?" That's ridiculing it. Have to say, "Oh, little green men." Fox Tucker, you heard, took it more seriously.
Yes, that was Leslie Keene that Lemon was talking to. She wrote the book, UFOs, Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on the Record. A modern-day government looking at UFOs and even build facilities known as unknown alloys, to house unknown alloys. That was on CNN in December of 2019. But Lemon did ridicule that. We had that on our program.
I don't think it was.
We're only in 2018 now. So
17. So I'm traveling.
Are you an alien from another planet who's
time
seen
traveling
into our future?
It's really December 19th of 2017 was on CNN. So my point is, and I'm going to throw this at on the table here and see who picks this up. The point is, since CNN picked it up, since we have run this, CNN has run this show.
You said CNA. I wasn't sure what that is. Is that a new organization that you created?
That's a different story. We'll get to that. I would like to know, is the world starting to get or catch up to Everything Old is New Again? And Dr. Viviani, are we starting to see some development of normalization by the mainstream media of a discussion of UFOs on Tucker Carlson. What is he on? I don't know, 8 o'clock every night on Fox. CNN's been running it on their primetime programming.
Yes, I think so, especially since this story in particular deals with ex-military or current military, ex-military talking. You can't talk in the military. They're very highly reliable. Like you mentioned, their job was to track radar objects on radar, identify who they are. Do you want me to get into the...
We're going to get into the specifics of the tic-tac-toe, they call it, but it's really a tic-tac. Oh, you know why they're calling it tic-tac? Because it looks like that little the breath mint. Now I get it. You never got that? I never got that. I just put it together now. That's why I had the ufologist here. I don't have all this information at my fingertips. But we're going to talk about the specifics of this particular sighting in the second section of our show. I'm interested in wondering the same question that Tucker Carlson asked, which, by the way, I asked way back in February. He's taken the script from me. Why do we have to hear this as... a leak from the government? Why are they not presenting this information to us right off the bat?
I'll take it one step further. When the story was initially broken in the mainstream, it wasn't even about UFOs being the topic. It was about the funding. Oh, we found this funding to the UFOs, and they're like, why was it being funded and not telling us? And they're kind of making fun of the UFOs.
Right. In other words, why did the U.S. spend $22 million on this program?
Right.
What you're
and
saying.
when you think about it, $22 million over X number of years is not that much compared to what they spend on researching cow
in 5
manure.
years. Yeah.
But then it came out to the specifics of the story came out, and then now they're like, oh my God, what? Okay, now that we know the program existed, what'd they find out? And now some of the information is leaking out from the program.
So we would say this to you: if you want to hear the initial breaking of this story on Everything Old is New Again, go to our website, everythingoldisnewagain.biz, that's .biz, show 197 with the good doctors here with David Cohen, the resident skeptic. And we went through the discussion of this whole presentation as presented by the man that ran the program. That it's a crazy name, Advanced Aerospace Threat Program, whatever. But it's Luis Elizondo, and he was talking about it. He said, I can't tell you that UFOs exist. I can tell you, that they're alien, but I can tell you there's stuff out there that we're not seeing, and that's the head of this program. But we asked back in February, we even said, I bet you this guy Elizondo goes somewhere, and you never hear from him again. Have you heard him since?
No, my sources can't track him down. Haven't.
Yeah.
But apparently...
He's never made an appointment for filling or...
No, I haven't seen him.
Because Dr. Viviani is a dentist in Huntington, New York, by the way, if you want to go see him there. For
now I don't know if that's good or bad. I gotta say, guy's off his rocker.
But this guy Elizondo's never made an appointment for a cleaning?
No, I can confirm that.
Can you?
No, actually, I can't because of HIPAA. I can't
even say that.
I can't even say that. I cannot confirm.
We got to get involved with the Freedom of Information Act to serve you a little documentation.
I cannot confirm or deny he made an appointment.
All right, but he's disappeared. He's all of a sudden, he is no longer available for consultation. There's nobody talking to him anymore. David, what are your thoughts?
Well, as the Scully to your guy's Mulder, just because you haven't heard from him doesn't mean he was absconded or he was kidnapped or gagged in any way. Maybe he just wanted out of the spotlight for a little bit.
Or he was paid off.
Well,
why did he want into the spotlight to begin with then?
Maybe he didn't want in. Maybe it was something he felt he needed that needed to be disclosed. He did his job, and he's done.
All right. We have to really...
Let's not read more into it. That's all I'm saying.
I want this guy front and center.
So call him, see if he'll be on the show.
I'm making a note, and if anybody out there in our vast audience of Everything Old is New Again has any, I think that was Joe, has any consultation or any information that they can provide us as to the whereabouts of or contact information for Luis Elizondo, the former head.
Or if you're holding him captive, please let us know.
Exactly. We can't pay much, but we might,
we just need 15 minutes of his time. We'll give him back.
We can even do it by telephone. So you don't have to release where you live. But, I think it's important for us to acknowledge that we're not nuts for talking. We just want to have an open mind. I'm not saying that there are aliens. I'm not saying that there's aliens visiting us.
I'd like to think there are.
But let's at least can we have a nice discussion about it with some facts and figures. And Tucker Carlson and the CNN, I don't really know who they've had. I know they've been on Lemon's show, but they've been on other shows at CNN as well. We're starting to at least see some movement here. I think that's encouraging. I don't know. You tell me. What do you think?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yes,
you weren't looking at anyone specifically.
It is encouraging because when you think about it, if you think back to 70s and 80s,
right.
If you had even mentioned it, they look at you like you have two heads. Now people, I think a vast majority of people, when you ask them, hey, do you think there's some life out there? Not necessarily that have been here, but, can life exist elsewhere? Most people would say yes.
Right.
I think.
Probably they're too far away to reach us. And
they come out, I don't
hear.
know, or they don't think too much about it. But then, and then when you say, oh, well, what about, and you show little stories or evidence here and there, most people have no idea of because they say, oh, how come you don't have pictures because of cell phones or blah, blah, blah. There is evidence out there.
But now you've got pilots that are U.S. government pilots that are discussing this on national TV. We'll come back on Everything Old is New Again to investigate this. And really, stay tuned here. We're doing better than Coast to Coast on some level, aren't we? We're back right after this.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS, though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's like another thing, it's rotating.
Welcome to Everything Old is New Again. If you couldn't interpret that is a little piece of the actual audio from fighter jet pilots following the Tic Tac UFOs that occurred in 2004, information of which has been released just within the last, I'd say, 8 months. We're here on Everything Old is New Again with our resident skeptic, David Cohen. David?
Greetings.
Earthlings.
Yeah.
And we're also here with our ufologist extraordinaire, the gentleman that has taken it upon himself to investigate on behalf of Everything Old is New Again, all things UFO, UFO aficionado extraordinaire as well. Dr. John Viviani, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. It sounds so excited. We're happy to have you here.
I have this breaking story. No, this story is
very serious.
No, it really is, because when you play that clip, it sounds like, oh, there was a 30-second, some guys in a fighter jet saw something for a minute or two, and then it disappeared.
Right.
This incident, by the way, my source is Kevin Day, who was a retired U.S. Navy Senior Chief Petty Officer, Operations Specialist at Top Gun, who was an intercept controller with more than 20 years' experience. In other words, he's the guy who was in charge of looking at the radar and determining what these objects were or are, or any objects are.
On the aircraft carrier.
The aircraft carrier.
That these, let's just be clear about it. This is the USS Nimitz, was it not?
No, it was not just the Nimitz. It was a Nimitz. It was a whole
carrier.
They were
group.
They were getting ready. He had to make sure the area was clear for what do they call war games?
Right. So they send up a group of fighters. Right, F-13s, I think.
Well, first of all, that's after they saw it. But first, they saw like 8 to 10 objects on the radar, which started off at 60,000 feet, and within seconds came down to 50 feet and hovered.
Middle of the ocean,
in the middle of the ocean,
yeah.
So, and also the speed that they were going at 60,000 feet was very slow. I believe it was 100 knots, which for that altitude is very slow. We don't have anything that can go that slow.
All right, so your source then sees this happening on his radar, says, "Hey, what's up here? We got to do some war games, and there's something in the air."
He submitted it to his superiors that something's going on, because it's not just one day. These sightings came between November 10th and the 16th.
Of 2004.
Yes.
So they dispatch at quite a cost and expense, let's be honest, right? They dispatch pilot David Fulmer and his colleagues in F-13s, so that's called?
I think they're 14s.
14s, and they take these hugely expensive, fast, state-of-the-art weapons, which are airplanes, takes them off the aircraft carrier to follow and get out. And what are these things? And they go towards these things, right?
Yes. And they couldn't catch up with them.
Now, this video
is from one of those
on YouTube. You could see, and they have them. You'll hear those voices, and they took them a while. They finally locked in with their mechanism, whatever they call that, and they locked in. You could see the crosshairs. They locked into one of these tic-tac shaped things, right?
Yes.
And then they followed this, and it started to do what? It made left and right
all
turns.
kinds of maneuvers, evasive maneuvers, and I believe it also disappeared off the radar like a stealth.
Yeah, they actually called it a cloaking,
yeah,
which is a Star Trek reference, by the way.
They could not. This thing was doing all kinds of maneuvers at different angles and speeds, and they said, and then they called the aircraft back and said, we can't catch it, we don't know what it is, but they were concerned because they needed the area clear for their military exercises.
And now let's be clear. What Fulmer says, and we'll have him on in a minute, and other individuals involved with this, the technology, the advancement, the way that this thing moved, no one else on the planet, in our knowledge, has the capability of doing that.
No, but what strikes me is it's not just a 30-second sighting where you can say, oh, it's Venus or it's lights or some sort of excuse. This was an ongoing thing for days and days that the Navy was tracking, and then it wasn't just a quick sighting. So
now, but also want to say is for their mechanism. I don't know the exact words of this thing, but for their mechanism to lock in, it's like in each space aircraft, they've got this mechanism when you want to shoot something
something
down.
was there.
It has to be a real thing to lock into, a metallic whatever, for them to lock into to send their self-guided missiles to destroy that other really airplane is what they're logged in to do. That's what the computers do. But so when they logged into it, they even said, "Oh, we got it." So it meant that it's not a. Like you said, it's not a light. It's not something see-through. It was a legitimate metallic something object that had reflection where radar could pick it up. And then the radar lost it. It just disappeared. It cloaked.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. This is what it is. David, what do you think of this? It's
an intriguing story. I wish they would have caught it.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
The next best thing...
More money for looking for UFOs.
There you go. It's a good field. We should be at the forefront of that, by the way. Tucker Carlson on Fox had the pilot David Fulmer on. Now, again, he was on CNN previously. Our prior show, 197, we had him on that interview. Now, there's a little more specifics here. Again, not a little more mainstream. It's just an additional now mainstream outlet. This is the second show that Tucker Carlson did since our show on February 19th using the same guest that we had.
Commander David Fravor spent 18 years as a naval aviator, a pilot. In 2004, he had an unforgettable encounter with an aircraft he said was defying the laws of physics. Tell us what you saw.
Tic-tac shaped object just hovering above the water, going forward, back, left, right. There's no rotor wash, there's no wings, nothing. I get over to the 8 o'clock position, it's at about the 2 o'clock position, and I decide I'm going to go and see what it is, and it's about 2,000 feet below me. And I cut across the circle, and as I get within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerates to the south in about 2 seconds and disappears.
Should this be possible, what you saw?
Not with the technology that we have today.
David Fulmer, a pilot. He has 18 years experience. He's not going to get on Tucker Carlson, is he? And CNN, I forget whatever show that was, and talk about this if he didn't at least himself believe what he saw. Correct?
Right. What motivation would he have to make something like that?
Is he lying? Are we taking, first of all, the facts that he's presented as, or allegation of facts, if you will, as factual? David, are you convinced that there was something that he locked onto, that he saw, and that did maneuvers that we cannot explain?
Did other people corroborate what he saw?
Yes, he had a whole group of fighter pilots with him.
So the likelihood of him concocting a story
there was
is
over 20
minimal.
naval staff aboard the Princeton and other ships that saw this as well.
So he's probably not making it up.
And there's a video feed of it on YouTube for sure. We've seen that before.
So it's a thing. It happened.
So where now, as the neophyte, if you will, with respect to this field that you are, and that's why you're here. What do you?
I was wondering why I was here. Thanks.
No, but I mean, I want someone that's not embroiled in this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Hysterical, in other words.
Correct, or excited. What do you think of this? What do you make of it, if you will?
Yeah, it excites me because yes, these are legitimate sources. It's something that can't be explained. It did make its way onto Fox. I'm not sure if it made its way onto other news outlets. It sounded like it did, but no one really took it seriously.
Well, it was on CNN.
CNN, but
Yes.
again, it doesn't sound like they took it seriously. So, again, like with everything that happens like this, though, what happens with the follow-up? What happens with the investigation? They all just seem to putter out.
Fizzle.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. That's my problem. Doctor, any thoughts in that regard?
No, that's my problem too, David, because it just seems to have disappeared.
We have to continue to fight the good fight to get people to understand what's
people
going on.
don't care, right? I mean,
But why wouldn't you care? I mean, if people took a serious thought and said, you know what, if these guys are serious and they think something's there, wouldn't you think you'd want to know?
Right, you would.
One of the most exciting things in the world.
So you're saying
the universe?
Are you? Is there some connotation here that there's a cover-up that this thing
No, I'm
leaked
saying
out
people
and-
are excited. Guess what? And we have no connection to this whatsoever.
Okay.
But there is, in February 14th to February 18th, a 2018 International UFO Congress Convention that's going to be occurring in the Sheraton Grand Phoenix. Okay? Now, I think actually the February date is over. It will be happening again at the same location in 2019. September, I'll get it straight, September 4th through the 8th, 2019. They're going to have a conference, and they rented the entire Grand Sheraton. Guess who's appearing?
David Fulmer.
Almost. Luis Elizondo.
Oh,
I
there he
found
is.
him. He
Ah.
is going to be reappearing, if you will, at this convention. You need to register by that February date. I'm sure they still have room. On September 4th to the 8th in Phoenix. If you're going to be in that area, go. You could be our correspondent. Honest to goodness. If you're going to go to that convention, I want to be there. I'll send you a mic. I want you there asking
All right.
questions.
I'm there.
Oh,
I'll go.
David's going.
Oh, you were looking at me like I'm the one supposed to be
I
going.
didn't want to pay the fee to send you out there. I was saying, if anyone's actually going
Already
to be
there.
there,
Oh, I thought-
we could be our correspondent.
That's why I was so happy to go. I'll take a free trip. Talk to people about UFOs. What the heck?
All right, so I'm telling you that
All right.
it's there. People are going to be going. There's about 20 speakers lined up. This should be very
But what
exciting.
is it? But if it's so exciting to us, are we the only ones in the world sitting here in this little room that are that interested in this? Why isn't anyone following up on this? Do you have any theories?
That's what the convention's for. We'll be back right after this. And everything old
That's
is
what
new again.
Is
Yeah.
that what a convention is for?
Yeah, find out all these things. What do you think it'd do there?
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything old is new again, with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Perhaps it's time to approach the question of UFOs again. For we can only hope that if we are being studied by aliens, it is with more thoroughness and care than we have focused on them.
Dr. Viviani, what do you think of that Leonard Nimoy comment?
Yeah, forget the report that just came out. Let's talk
I
about
know, I
Mr.
gotta go back
Spock.
to Nimoy. I was waiting for the Star Trek reference to come into here. Yeah, so
we were so into this thing, and then
Now you've got a minute to talk about it. Go. That's from a past show, and we just had some fun there on Everything Old is New Again, talking UFOs. We're here with David Cohen. David, say hello to the audience.
I'm not going to do the greetings, Earthling, again. I think the second time was pushing it. The first time wasn't even funny, so let's just drop it. Hi.
There you go. And we're here with the resident ufologist, Dr. John Viviani. He is a UFO enthusiast extraordinaire. He has quite a bit of resources behind his investigatory procedures.
He has a whole staff.
He has a whole staff.
I do have a staff.
And correct.
Yeah,
And
no, that's not a lie.
That's not a lie. They're located in Huntington, Long Island. And appointment necessary, but you can get your clean teeth there anytime you like. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you asked a question you were interested about, I blew it off about a conversation last couple of minutes ago before the commercials about, is anybody interested in this? And I said, well, the conventions. Well, the reason why I mentioned that is because this convention that we just mentioned and spoke about, the one in the Sheraton in September 4th through the 19th.
So it's like a year from now.
Yeah. Is going to fill up. There'll be a lot of people there. Besides that,
right.
My question is, and it's a valid question that you have, I'm just reflecting it back, is if you're 100% believer in this whole thing, what do you do about it? What can you do about it?
You can't really write to your senator. I don't know what you can do about it.
Maybe you write a blog?
Right.
Which is, there's tons of them on the computer. So, when you say, I'm not saying it's anything wrong, but you're saying, all right, so if it's such a grandiose, big deal, something happened, and it's important and so forth, why are we not hearing more of it? Well, what can be done, Doctor?
Well, most people just sit around waiting for something to be done, like you said. But you can go. They have these UFO conferences all over the country. There's one coming up in October in Philadelphia from MUFON, which is the mutual. I forget the acronym.
Right,
but it's an amateur UFO.
It's
people.
a mutual UFO network.
Yeah.
MUFON. Established in 1969, right there.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
And their website is MUFONPA.com if you want to look at
They
the
investigate.
convention.
They investigate and take seriously any and all sighting reports.
So where is this convention going to be?
At the Sheridan Banks Hotel in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. No, that's where you stay. It's the Philadelphia Area Conference. No, that's where it is. Sheridan
Langhorne,
Hotel.
which is right out, it's a suburb of Philly.
All right, there you go.
What's the dates? October
26th.
Perfect, right around Halloween. It's one day?
It just seems to be one day.
All right, so if anybody is in our Philadelphia area that would like to become a correspondent for Everything Old is New Again, seriously, we'll pay your fee to go down there, possibly David Cohen.
I'll go. I love Philly.
There's
I
a
love
cocktail party at
cheesesteaks,
6:45.
Oh, that brings me there.
See,
I'm game.
and you're going to think I'm crazy. I go to Philadelphia to get cheesesteaks, so I don't really need a big reason
You know
to
what?
go there.
I do too. Which one do you go to?
Oh, I've been to Pat's and Gino's for years, and now I've been branching out and going.
Do you think
others.
Pat's and Gino's are still the best?
So far?
I heard that those are tourist traps because I have a source in Philly now. My niece that goes to Villanova, and she says, those are for tourists. You got to go. There are other places that the real people know about.
I understand that, but I object because she's not been to either of those.
Oh,
she's not been to
so
either,
she's
but
a little
she says,
snobby.
"Oh no!"
And I've been to a number of the local establishments, and I have yet to taste one as good as
there you
exactly.
go. She's doing the Villanova snobby bit because you're from out of town.
You wouldn't know
Right.
because
These
you're
college
from out of
kids
town.
we've seen, they're buffoons. Okay. I'm sorry to say, with all due respect.
I hope she's not listening.
She's never listened to 300 shows. I've listened to one yet. So now, here we go.
This one is probably.
Hi, Uncle Douglas. How you doing? Well, we had Uncle John on the show talking about UFOs. That's good. I'm going in the pool. Good night. That's what I get. Love you. So, here's my thought. I want to maybe go down there. October, what is it again?
26.
October 26th.
Let's go.
And let's maybe broadcast from there if we
Can you get a press pass?
Yes, possibly. We'll send a note down there.
What about a pledge pin?
A pledge pin?
A possible pledge pin press pass.
But now if we can't, so what? We'll bring our microphone and we'll go there anyway.
And we'll have some cheesesteaks.
No, but we'll go surreptitiously. I want to see what's going on there. That sounds very interesting to me. Now, Doctor, those are two sources of possible information that anyone wants to go and see.
For the novice,
yes,
I would just I mean, it's so much easier today than it was for me 20 years ago.
Right.
You just go on YouTube.
20? You've been into
30,
this since 1976.
Well, there you go. Actually, one of my first books was when I was like 10 years old.
Chariots of the Gods.
No, yes, but UFOs then and now, and had that grainy picture of that. Black
I
and
remember
white.
that one. Yeah.
Anyway, I was hooked from that point on. Read everything UFO.
So that's more than 20 years.
But you don't have to go even read books. If you want to be a kid today, you don't want to even read, go on YouTube. They have all kinds of seminars, guys speaking, videos, movies.
But you got to be discriminating. There's a lot of nonsense.
So how do you separate the wheat from the chaff? How do you know the junk versus the
That's
legitimate
hard. I
stuff?
don't know. Who knows? But it's
well, you know, you're the expert.
You're the ufologist. Are there some sites that you feel a little more legitimate than others?
There's this new network called Gala, which is pretty Gaila. Gala is pretty good. What are the sites?
MUFON is good.
Oh, the MUFON site. Yeah, go to MUFON. But what you do is I like to do is go on MUFON or go on these sites and you see these speakers and like you hear what they have to say, and then you can go on their particular websites. Depending on the subject matter. Some guys sound crazy.
I would also suggest. I agree. I would also suggest, with all due respect, is that you go to these websites. If none of them ever say we found one that's illegitimate, all of these will eventually say, "Yeah, this one's no good. We found out the solution. It was whatever." Like if they're willing to tell the truth, if you will. They're not like one of these lockstep and just say everything's UFO.
A lot of these guys, what I'm talking about, when you get a little deeper,
right?
They have sources inside the military, anonymous sources, they listen. Unless they have a tremendous imagination to make this, some of this stuff is very detailed. It's unbelievable what they can say.
All right, now I'm going to turn the tide a little bit here. Another Star Trek reference, and what I say is going to say to you is the next, also mainstream step that I think is happening and going to happen in this process is Zachary Quinto is now taking over the franchise. Second thing he's doing, he's the new Spock, and Leonard Nimoy, of course, was the host of the original. We just heard our friend Leonard Nimoy introducing us this last section of In Search Of. Zachary Quinto is now producing and narrating, as Mr. Spock did, a brand new In Search Of.
Star Trek star Zachary Quinto is set to host a new unscripted history series titled In Search Of, inspired by the 1970s franchise hosted by Leonard Nimoy that examined unexplained global phenomena. Each episode will focus on a different subject with a dynamic theme, such as alien encounters, mysterious creatures, UFO sightings, time travel, and artificial intelligence.
Dr. Viviani, are you going to be watching the show?
Absolutely.
David Cohen.
Why does Zach Quinto have to follow everything that Leonard Nimoy did?
I was just going to say, I think that's marketing genius.
Is he going to convert to Judaism next? I mean, what is going on here?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good question.
I know. He's
really
like the
is.
reincarnation of Leonard Nimoy.
He just found a way to be rich. I can be Leonard Nimoy.
He's going to do, now they're going to do a remake of another remake of the Body Snatch, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and he'll be in that one next. That was the next move. And then if they do a Columbo, he's going to be the
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. He's going to be Paris in Mission Impossible.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Interesting. There was those movies. You know what? There are movies.
Mission Impossible
still happening.
movies.
Yeah, well, that's
really.
I'm going to suggest that. I'm going to send a note. I know I get ignored.
That's my idea.
Yeah, you send. Well, send in tandem. Let's send a note to Tom Cruise and say,
"How about Zach Quinto?
Zach Quinto for Paris. Let's do it.
Let's get Zach on the show, and let's ask him the Leonard Nimoy. Let's put him on the spot.
All right, that's a great idea. We're going to try to do that. We're going to try to get Zach Quinto on the show. That's a great idea. If anybody has any contacts, I know I have some myself, but let's do the best we can to tag team him on that. There's also a brand new movie coming out, 2018, called UFO.
Did you hear about this?
Flight operations were temporarily suspended this afternoon after reports of a mysterious aircraft hovering above the airport.
Why didn't I see this before?
Think it's some sort of signal?
That's binary. They're using math as a way to communicate, and if I'm right, he's coming back. What are the most important questions in the world? Is there a God? What happens when we die? Are we alone in the universe? If anyone answered any one of those questions, it would change everything.
That sounds kind of interesting when you present those three questions like that. What do you think, David?
Are you saying they're capitalizing on this event that was leaked to the press earlier this year?
That's my question to you. What is the reason why this movie...
Because Hollywood's so original. You know?
Well, everything old is new again, right? Why is this movie being released? Gillian Anderson, who's Scully, right? Your counterpart in the X-Files. Where are we on this? This is interesting to me that we now have two shows, a movie and a show, being released that are feeding right into the presentation, the disclosure, if you will, of the UFO story. Dr. Viviani.
Well, it's the first I heard of those two shows, but it makes sense. You know, they say that, well, back with Spielberg, with Close Encounters and E.T., they said he may have known, and same thing with Roddenberry with Star Trek, that they may have known more than they let on, not pure fiction.
Speaking of Close Encounters, we'll be back right after this. Continue the discussion. We may even answer one of those questions.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
What's that? There's a jet of flame springing from the mirror and it leaps right at the advancing men. It strikes them head on. Logs are turning into flames. The whole field's caught up by the woods, the fires, the gas tanks of the automobiles spreading everywhere. It's coming this way now, about 20 yards to my right.
Welcome to Everything Old is New Again. That is a little piece of the War of the Worlds, Orson Welles' tremendous work from 1934 on radio. The topic we're discussing here today is the most recent UFO presentation or release of information with David Cohen and Dr. John Viviani, Ufologist Extroadainnaire, exclusive to Everything Old is New Again. I just would like to play this clip again from the last section, last show, part of the show we did, and let's just lead into what our topic will be.
What are the most important questions in the world? Is there a God? What happens when we die? Are we alone in the universe? If anyone answered any one of those questions, it would change everything.
Do you think this Hello. Do you think this movie, the UFO 2018, is going to attempt to answer any of those three questions? That's number one.
Are you expecting Hollywood to legitimize the UFO search?
I do. I do.
You're really reaching for straws.
I'm telling you, it's come a long way since 1950s in The Blob, right? Dr.
Right.
Viviani.
Oh, yes. I have to think that they could be on the forefront of opening up legitimate discussion on the UFOs and not making it so goofy. I don't know much about this UFO movie, but in answer to your question, what was the third question? What, are we alone? Of course they're going to address that question.
But think about the marketing of this. They couple the question of are we alone in the universe with the universal questions that go back all the way to the dawn of man. Is there a God, and what happens when we die?
They promote that for the movie, those
yes,
questions?
they said those are the three questions that would, one of which...
Are they going to answer them in the movie?
Well, I'm saying any one of those three questions, any one of those three questions that are answered will change the world. Of course, they're saying that they're going to try and or present an answer to, are we alone in the universe? And clearly, in this movie, they're going to present the idea that we are not alone in the universe and explain why. I saw a little bit more of it, and basically... they're doing what was Close Encounters. Instead of music, they're saying the aliens are using math to try to approach communication.
It's so boring.
With us.
It's so boring.
Yeah.
I mean, what
is it? The new math?
Now the computer code binary. Oh,
well, is it going to be?
How do we get their attention down?
But
there? Do
what if they
music, or do we do the Pythagorean theorem?
Well, what if they use the old math and all the kids are now on the Common Core math? They wouldn't understand it. There'd really be a communication problem.
What kind of math they're going to use? Right? Exactly. Exactly.
All right, but how about is there a God, or what happens when we die? You think they could even approach that? No. Will anyone ever have the answers to those questions?
Well, you have them when you die, I guess, but you can't really communicate it back.
How about George Anderson has been on a show doing readings live and explaining live about the hereafter?
Hollywood will never talk about God.
Well, did you have any? That's a good point. But let me ask you: have you had any experience with this George Anderson who's been on our show doing readings over the last couple of months?
Yes, I have, and I don't know how specific you want me to get. I know people who have had readings from him.
Well, how about your? Well, besides that, your
mine. About 20 years ago, I saw him, and it was he gave some very personal things that nobody would know. And by the way, he only knows your first name, so we did.
Right, he's a gentleman that again look at our shows. We've had him on explaining what he does. We've also had him on doing readings. Upcoming in the next couple of weeks, David Cohen, you had a reading with George Anderson, which we did tape, and we are going to be airing that. And that's, just a little bit of a tease to that point. Did that give you any insight into what happens when we die, possibly?
It's possible that there is a hereafter, and that they, try to communicate with us through certain
and I think you could safely say that you were blown away with your reading.
I was blown away, yeah.
Yeah, so your conclusion's something else, but the experience itself
was
mind-boggling.
was surprising and mind-boggling, and made me think that, it's possible there's a hereafter.
Think about that gift, to be able even just to present someone with the seed of the idea, maybe not even the conclusion. Right. Some people might conclude that there's life after death.
So you're saying, as the attorney that you once were or are,
yes,
that if you can plant the seed of a hereafter, then you can certainly use a movie to plant the seed of alien life.
Exactly. And in addition to that, they're now lumping it into one of the most universal, important questions of the human existence. So they're coupling God and the hereafter with UFOs, if that makes sense. So trying to lend credibility to the question itself.
Right, because then you can ask yourself, if you believe that there is other life in the universe, is there really a God?
Well, that's,
right.
Yeah.
So it's
I'd like to comment on that as opposed to
into the microphone.
Some people say, if there are UFOs, then there can't be a God because they think God is here on Earth. I would venture to say that it shows that even more so there's a God, because a God's supposed to be everywhere. Why isn't it just Earth? It would encompass everything.
I think everywhere is defined as Earth.
As a
the legal definition of everywhere.
The Vatican even recently opened. If there's life elsewhere, it does not go against our teachings.
Not at all. Why would it?
Well,
because they want to spread Catholicism to other worlds.
It's not just that.
We'll take that planet too.
Some fundamentalists say, God we were created in His image, so it can't be, and Earth's the center of the universe, so therefore everything else.
But what are the first words of the Bible? No, wasn't there
in the beginning there was the Word?
But God created what?
The heavens and the earth.
The heavens and the earth. Oh, so you're thinking the heavens
See? Yes.
could include.
Yes,
okay.
everything.
Absolutely. Now, the other thing is, I think it's interesting when you look at that and you see, go back 500, 700, 800 years when all they thought about was that the earth was the center of the universe and the sun revolved around the earth, and that was the accepted, doctrine.
Yeah, you're a heretic if you just said that.
So that's all nonsense. But let's go back to a little bit. I found something here I thought was very interesting. United Airlines, February 2018, very recently, 2 planes confirmed something that passed them. See if you can hear and listen to the exchange.
Was anybody above us that passed us like 30 seconds ago?
For 71 Papa Golf negative.
A UFO. Yeah.
American 1095, let me know if you see anything pass over you here in the next 15 miles.
You know if anything passes over us?
American 1095, affirmative. We had an aircraft in front of you that's 37 that reported something pass over him, and we didn't have any targets, so just let me know if you see anything pass over you.
It's American 1095. Yeah, something just passed over us. Don't know what it was, but it's at least 3,000 feet above us. Yeah, it passed right over the top of us.
Okay, American 1095, thank you.
All right, now that's so subdued in a way because they're professionals. Those are 2 airline pilots, commercial pilots that fly. What do they fly? 2 times a week, 3 times a week for their entire career. They've got experience in what's going on out there, right? And the first one is, if you can see what happened, was reported back to the, I'm going to call it a base, but the air traffic controller said, hey, I don't know, we just saw something pass by us. Did you have anything on your scope? No. So the guy was pretty good. The air traffic controller said, let's get the airplane that's flying right behind the one that just reported that. Hey, if you see anything, let us know. Reports right back. Yeah, I see this too. Just passed by us as well. What do you explain? What do you think of that, David?
Couldn't they track it? What was there any tracking that was done? I mean, all these stories have like the obvious questions. Where's the follow-up?
Didn't he say no? They couldn't.
Could not track it.
It wasn't on the screen.
But meanwhile, these pilots are in the air. It's like us driving a car and seeing a plane or a bird fly by, let's say. You experience it. You're seeing a bird go by. You're flying a plane. You could look around. You've got some experience, right?
So let me ask you this. So getting back to the very first story that we started off with, what was there any... Because I keep getting back to, so what are we doing about it, right? So in that instance, did the government disclose what they did as a follow-up to the Tic Tac?
What usually happens, like I bet you what happened to these pilots, the ones who are in service now, they get debriefed when they land, and I've heard stories where they just said, like, you will not tell this. They have to sign confidentially. They're not allowed to talk about it.
Non-disclosure agreements.
Non-disclosure. You cannot talk about it.
Why?
So do you think the government might be covering something? Okay.
It's got to be a federal procedure. Listen, guys, anything UFO, fine. You talk about it, you find it, whatever, that's great. It goes into this file. Don't talk about it again, otherwise you're not flying ever again.
Right.
Something like that. But why? Why can't, as Tucker Carlson asked in the beginning, reflecting my question and our question from our February show of 2017, show 197, why we have to rely upon these releases of bits and pieces of information by mistake? Why are we not getting disclosure from our government or any
they're trying
government?
to hide something, and for what reason, you could speculate, but who knows?
I think it has something to do with the religious aspect, which they feel that people are going to, have a major problem with. I think there's going to be a cause of unrest in countries where they're going to say, you no longer have control over me. There are aliens out there. I'm more concerned with that than stopping at a stoplight and so forth, And so they think that they're going to be some
or people may
civil
panic
unrest.
thinking we're getting taken over.
Correct. And we're going to, hoard things.
If bad things were going to happen, they would have happened already. I mean, if they were coming.
What I still can't get over, as we probably need to wrap this up, right, is that as much as I want to believe, I really do, why hasn't anyone ever had this encounter on a broader scale? So in other words, why hasn't, I'm going to use some really simplistic terms, I'm sorry if I'm insulting you guys, but why hasn't a spaceship landed and little green men or whatever form they're in come out and talk to us?
But we have no control over that.
But why haven't they made contact with us in a broader sense so that everybody knows?
Very simple. When you walk by an anthill, you look at the anthill and you walk right by. You're not interested. It's not advanced enough. You don't want to communicate with that being or those ants.
Why are you even coming all the way over here then?
Because you investigate. You still want to investigate. We went to Mars. There's nothing there, right? Still want to investigate. Doctor?
Well, yeah, that theory is that we have nothing to give them. There are other theories that we've already met with them. They have secret treaties where we've received their technology in return for looking the other way, for them taking some genetic information from people. There's all kinds of theories on, but that's why the government doesn't want to admit. Oh yeah, we're letting you can abduct some people here and there and do whatever test supposedly they're interested in genetic tests. There's all kinds of theories that their DNA is being wiped out. They can't reproduce.
Right, so one last question, right? Not getting political at all here, but right, we have a president now who is very open about and tweeting about everything and anything he sees and hears about. If this was a well-kept secret, and obviously the president would know about it.
That's wrong.
The question, exactly.
No, I just read a book on UFOs and presidents. Most presidents are in a need-to-know basis because they're only there for 4 or 8 years. Believe it or not, you think the president's at the top of the food chain there? This is run by a secret black ops that are way more powerful than some elected official. And
I just want to say one thing, whether you're political or not. There is there are people that are in this undercurrent we've seen, like it or not, to get political, but there's like this deep state, or there's stuff that goes on that we don't know about. Maybe there is some deep state, so to speak, of what you're saying here, an operation of people that are...
supposedly Jimmy Carter wanted to know because he saw a UFO, and when he came in, he says, I'm going to disclose this, and then when he came in and two things either happen. Either they say you're going on a need-to-know basis, and they don't need to know, or there's something really sinister that this is the reason why, okay, here's why you can't talk about it. And then once they're in, they don't talk about it.
Interesting thought. We'll come back and talk about that next time when we have Dr. Viviani on with us, a ufologist extraordinaire. We're going to try to visit that convention in the MUFON convention in Philadelphia in October. And David Cohen, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, same here. Maybe we'll have some close encounters between now and then.
But are they of the third kind? That's the question.
That's kind of where I was going.
We'll be back right after this. Everything old is new again. Come on back next week. Talk about all things pop culture and everything old is new again.